There are reports that Boko Haram elements are gathering in Matari village in Konduga local government area of Borno State.
A journalist versed in Boko Haram activities first made this known via his Twitter handle earlier this week. Though the military is yet to issue any formal statement on the alert, sources in Jacana and Menok say they cited troops movement heading for Matari, which is just 37 kilometers to Maiduguri.
Yeah, the purported Boko Haram gathering is coming 1 week after the insurgents threatened they would attack military formations, and just 1 day after the Islamic State of West Africa faction of Boko Haram attacked Malum Faturi and Gudumbali and engaged the army in a fierce gun battle. Now, authorities of the Nigerian army have confirmed that 8 soldiers were killed in the attacks.
The recent upsurge in attacks on civilians and military bases has prompted the federal government to direct the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, to remain in the northeast until the security situation there improves. Now, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, was also ordered to comply with the directive. We have joining us via phone to discuss the recent attacks by Boko Haram insurgents, the security expert, Captain Umar. Actually, Ibrahim Abbas will be speaking with us from Damaturu, if we got that right. Good morning and thanks for joining us, Dr. Ibrahim Abbas.
Yeah, good morning all. Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Fantastic. Now, as a security expert yourself, I wonder what your views are about the upsurge in insurgency in the northeast and the fact that the military bases have become easy target for the Boko Haram terrorists.
Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, we have to understand that most of this problem generally has to do with the nature of the military operation in the northeast. I am more particularly concerned when you look at the issue of response of the military when it comes to managing the security situation. For instance, in most cases, the military are reluctant, in most cases, and mostly react only when there's a violent attack. And I think that has not helped for a very long period of time, because what we have is a reactive rather than proactive measures. That is not to say there has not been significant improvement in terms of what we have seen over the years, but the reaction has always been the problem. On top of that, the information that is usually given to the securities are not seriously being taken. You see, most communities, affected communities, when you have problems of such nature, they are being reported earlier on. But the military, in most cases, do not respond until when you see attacks taking place. Now, the military attack, for instance, the recent one, there has been reports, of course, before the attack, but the military was not able to do anything at the time until there was this attack, and it becomes a serious issue now. So I think the strategy the military has been using for quite some time has to change. We have to think of improving the response system so that we don't allow until we have massive attacks and we have media response until when the military will respond and you have all discussions having taken place.
All right, Dr. Abbas, let me stay with you on this issue. You are a peace, conflict and development expert. When it comes to issue of restoring peace and security in the Northeast, since 2009, the Northeast has not really had peace the way it's supposed to be. What is that missing link? The military, the SSS, the police and all the different security agencies have come up with different strategies, but they still have not been able to restore peace in the Northeast. You are there, you know what is going on too. What can you tell us? What is government not doing right?
Well, this is a very important question. First of all, we have to understand that this terrorism, the nature of the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria in particular, is a global problem. And this continues to pose a serious challenge to the state authority. Some countries have been able to achieve success. In some cases, it has to do to a joint effort. Now, in Nigeria, you will see that 2009, when you have massive violent attacks days, taking almost a decade, you see Boko Haram from a small rat army metamorphosing into a very sophisticated, highly connected, well-funded an international terrorist organization that has taken over many parts of the Lake Chad region. Now, where there has been significant improvements in terms of security situation, especially in the northeast, we are now seeing a lot of challenges that have to do with the entire military operation. One basic problem that encompasses all sides of this issue is corruption. One, you look at the issue of what has been budgeted over the years in terms of money, in terms of resources. In 2010 alone, you will see that the government has budgeted more than 10 billion naira. In 2011, we've had almost 1 billion naira. 2012, 2014, the same thing. So for so many years, so many resources, huge resources have been invested, but at the same time, you have the operations not being successful. Now, another issue is the lack of arms and ammunition. When we interview so many of the security officials, they tell us that what they have as their arms and ammunition are not the standard, the latest gadgets and machineries that they should have. In most cases, the Boko Haram, when they attack with pure PowerPoint, and that becomes a serious problem. Again, another problem is the lack of essential intelligence, information. In most cases, the soldiers and the officers in the theater of command have not access to this intelligence. So the Boko Haram can attack at will, and you have things like this going on. With this kind of problems, you have low morale and fatigue, especially with the security apparatus. Again, another problem is the lack of counterinsurgency training that we have had. It's not a normal warfare. This is a guerrilla warfare. It's an insurgency. The strategies, the methods which the military has to be using, it's not the kind of normal warfare that we know. At the same time, this is another big problem. It is the inefficiency that is associated with rivalry, especially among the security architecture. The army, the police, the SSS, and what have you, are not really cooperating. There's no real coordination of this operation. And at the same time, you have the military.
All right. Thank you very much.
Dr. Ali Ibrahim Abbas.
For joining us this morning. Yes, let's quickly bring in Kelechi Obiakwata. He's a security consultant right here in the studio with us. Good morning. Good morning. And thanks for joining us. Now,
before we bring you into the discussion proper, let's give a background so people can understand part of what we are talking about here. Now, why is Konduga a place of interest for these insurgents? We need to understand this. Now, about 70 people have been killed during attacks in Konduga local government area of Borno State in 8 months. Let's take a look at some of the recent attacks by Boko Haram in the area.
Well, February 17, 2018, at least 21 persons were killed and 70 injured as multiple bombers struck Konduga local government area of Borno State. May 4th of 2018, an attack by 2 female suicide bombers on Mandarari ward resulted in the death of 5 people. And May 13, 2018, 9 Boko Haram terrorists killed 11 farmers in Amarwa village. On June 23, 2018, 4 persons were killed and 6 others injured when Boko Haram raided Tunkushe village in Konduga local government area of Borno State. A male suicide bomber also detonated an improvised explosive device among a group of residents sleeping in an open place in the area. Okay, so let's bring in our guest right now, Kelechi Obiakwata.
Okay, we have another guest joining us as well, Galtima Liman, joining us from Maiduguri right now. Galtima Liman, it's good to have you join us now. You are on ground and you have been following these developments so far. Nigerians are asking why so difficult and challenging for the government, the military, the security agencies to knock out Boko Haram. Is there something that Nigerians don't understand about the fight against the insurgency in the northeast?
When His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari became the president, he took a very right step. But subsequently, I don't know whether he does not have geostrategic advisors within his network. The Boko Haram conundrum, as we've always mentioned, it's a very complex issue. It's linked to the Bakassi International Court of Justice ruling that took away some part of the Akwa Ibom, Calabar, Mambila Plateau, Adamawa, Benue, down to the 33 fishing and farming communities in the lakeside. And this had its own background as far back as the Scramble for Africa, 1885. So it's a very old, ancient geostrategic partitioning of nations. But the full blown aspect of it came into fall in 2002 when His Excellency Obasanjo, together with the International Court of Justice, after ruling that section of Nigeria was no longer Nigeria. And then subsequently you had the Green Tree Agreement when you had a unipolar world, under George Bush and the late Kofi Annan. And then eventually Jonathan Goodluck also conceded the fact that there was no extra facts to, so Buhari himself, His Excellency came, he said, look, I can't overturn what had taken place. So part of the agreement was this: Nigeria must vacate that area. The truth has to be told. Nigeria has to vacate that place. And how it's going to be done, according to the legal injunction that had been given, was that the military, administrative, and political police structures have to be dismantled. It's a new area belonging to another country. So, but
okay.
That's basically some of the confusion that is going on there.
All right,
okay.
Mr. Galtima Liman, thank you so much. He's a policy analyst joining us from Maiduguri there, giving us a background of how this all started. Kelechi Obiakwata, thank you so much for your patience with us this morning. First of all, the most important question really we should ask, for want of time, is, how can we put an end to this? The federal government has just, given the orders to the Chief of Army Staff and, of course, Chief of Air Staff to relocate until security returns.
My personal take about the present federal government action or reaction is that they are being reactionary to this major issue of Boko Haram that has been with us for over a decade. By now, we should have evolved a proper strategy to fight Boko Haram that will subsist so many years to come. Nigeria is not the first nation that is being besieged by terrorism or terrorists. There have been other nations and there have been instances. Even Britain, our colonial masters, they are also suffering from insurgency, and they have strategies, to make sure that they contend the effect of terrorism in their nation.
Yeah, but the motive seems to be different.
Yeah, but whatever is the motive, terrorism is terrorism.
Okay.
Are you with me? Yeah. Because the first thing is that, they create impacts that, make people to feel really bad. And about the situation, they also involve the international media. The whole thing is just to run down a system, a government, and to project their ideology or whatever their intents are. Of course, in Nigeria, we've had it said over and over that they want to control, some part of Nigeria and, a territory. Now we're hearing Islamic State of West Africa, and so on. So my take is that by now there should have been a knowledge base, from all our experiences with Boko Haram. Even going back to 2015, just before the election, we saw a kind of miracle that happened because weeks, before the election, there was serious attack, such that, the election was postponed in the first instance to give time for other reasons, at least to quell to some extent, recover some of the, taking over territories to allow election to take place. Of course, yes, it happened. That administration was able to, curtail them to a reasonable extent, and election held. Now the same situation is repeating itself. What did we learn? What lessons have we learned, from all our experiences? Now, that's what is called defense-based, threat, or, something like that in security. That is where you analyze, the adversary, analyze their weapons, analyze the attack methodology, analyze, every aspect of their weapon and what they have to attack.
Their strategy.
Exactly. What have we? Because just the Metel attack is another instance that they overran a task force base that was situated there to fight them. They had the audacity to come and, you know, defeated the whole base. Now, what kind of weapons did they use? Did we know? Again, military intelligence. In warfare, there's always the men behind the enemy's line. What intelligence are we gathering? Before now, maybe...
Is that really the missing link?
It's a missing link because for Boko Haram to run down our military base, that means they have intelligence. They know their strength.
There's talk of them using drones
and
now
mercenaries.
and foreign mercenaries.
Is that strange?
Okay.
Is that strange? Drone has come to be, and any military force should have their own drones. And we should have been the first to deploy that because it's our intent and purpose is to defeat Boko Haram. So we should have gone ahead of time to deploy drones to find out where they are and to attack them. This should be an attack. We should not wait for them to attack us and we go back to, you know, we start reacting and all that.
There will be more time to talk about this, definitely.
Yes,
Kelechi Obiakwata, thank you very much. He's a security consultant for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.